Today we're going to try something new. Recently, a comic book that I was truly enjoying got canceled. The reason for this is that the book wasn't selling, and the method that we use to promote books only focuses on the trade paperbacks and not single issues that need the attention to get going. The problem with this is that we don't show you the book before they get canceled due to poor sales. Now, the reason we don't typically do #1 issues is because the stories almost always end on a cliffhanger. And I've always felt bad about endorsing books that maybe didn't have a good first run, so I was enticing you guys to go buy books, but at the same time, the story may not have been good. I feel that each story I bring to you guys is something that I need to personally enjoy on some level, be it had an awesome fight, fun art, or it was just an overall good story. I feel that any video I make is me putting my endorsement on that story. But there's also a level of responsibility that I have taken on by growing to this level, in which I feel like I almost need to make you guys aware of stories so that we can explore them together and see how they develop together. So I'm starting a new series, which at the time of writing this I really have no name for. I'm going to give you 3 brand new issues of 3 totally different series that I may not stick around with myself, but I found their first issues very intriguing. If I end up enjoying the full run, you'll eventually see the full stories on this channel, and you'll get this first issue again in that video. But this will allow you guys to see stories that you may be interested in yourself, and maybe we can all find some golden gems to support as a community. Today we're going to be covering Animosity #1, Britannia 1, and Raven 1. Let me know in the comments down below which of these you liked yourself. For this series, I'll be linking the digital purchase page for each of these books so you can buy them from anywhere and continue the stories. And for those of you guys wondering which books got canceled that I'm referring to, it's Nighthawk and Hyperion, 2 great books that came out of Marvel that recently got canceled even though I was enjoying them. And the Hyperion story is going to come out soon if it's not out already, because we already wrote that before realizing that these were canceled. Oh, and just to warn you, this opening won't be in every video. I just wanted to explain why we're doing this particular series. First up, New York City and the modern day. Animosity, issue 1. It all began out of nowhere. Animals awakening and scaring people, such as rats jumping onto a janitor in a lab shouting, "Die, bastard!" All around the world, animals suddenly became intelligent. Dogs being put down wondering why they were being killed. Cows asking to not be murdered. Polar bears wondering why they were murdering. Killer whales falling in love with their trainer, and pandas wondering why they had been kept alive for so long. And one dog turned to his master and told her, "Jessie, I love you. I just love you." While the entire world was shocked at this new development, Jessie hugged her dog. "Sander, I love you too." Her father ran into the room shouting for Jessie to get away from Sander, telling his wife and daughter the horrible things that animals have been doing around the world. Sander was confused. But then pigeons came crashing through the nearby window shouting, "Die, die, die!" They lunged at Jessie, and Sander leaped up, biting down hard on one of them, killing it to save her. Out in the hallway, one of the neighbor's cats called out for the humans to get upstairs now, and with tears in her eyes from fear, Jessie asked her father what is going on. They run to the roof where more pigeons are shouting, "Die, die, die!" And they see the horror of the city as there are fires and smoke scattered across it. Up above them, the birds have even crashed a plane. In one moment, the world is no longer as it has been forever. And then the pigeons lunge at Jessie again, pushing her off of the rooftop. Sander rushes over to her as her father calls out for her, and he leaps off of the roof, catching her mid-air and crashing through a window nearby. As the two of them lay on the floor, Sander asks her if she's okay, and she looks up terrified at a tiger that just ate its owner. Sander gets up, telling the tiger to back off, or I'll turn you into a rug. But the tiger isn't about to roll over and let the girl walk free. Not after the humans sold her cubs to the black market. And so the tiger leaped at Sander, calling him a bad dog. And Sander, he knocked off a sword that was on a table that was just there to look nice, and the tiger landed on it, cutting its own throat. Jessie looked at Sander and told him, "I've got you." And Sander nuzzled his head against her. "I'm yours, Jessie. I'm yours." Welcome to Animosity, and if you're interested in this series, it's brought to you by Aftershock Comics, and issue 2 is just as engaging, so check it out in the links down below. Next up, we're going to be traveling to another time and place, to far-off Rome. Long ago in ancient Rome, the Roman Empire ruled, but among them were a group of women known as the Vestal Virgins, who were tasked to tend to the sacred fire, for if it went out, calamity would fall on Rome. One night, the chief Vestal, Rubria, sought out the aid of Antonius Axia to help bring an abducted Vestal home. Though leaving his post would be seen as desertion, he agreed to help rescue the Vestal from the druid cult that had taken her. Antonius fought and killed the cultist, but upon saving her, he was subjected to the fumes from their cave, which would mangle any man's brain. For his help, the Vestals treated him and cured him with their obscure rituals. Once deemed worthy, the Vestals allowed him to read the Codex, which contained sacred writings and symbols handed down by the ancestors. During the time with the Vestals, Drusa, the vessel he rescued, gave herself to him due to his mind still being trapped within that cave that he saved her from. Years would pass and Antonius would become the Detectioner, a detective of sorts for the Roman Empire. He would also have a son, Avitus, who would come to see Antonius as an uncle rather than his actual father. One day, one of Nero's centurions reported a terror was coming from Britannia. The Druids there were terrorists. The centurion would speak of horrors that any man would cower before, until they were killed, and then some came back as animated corpses. With his great work with the soldiers in the past, Nero ordered Antonius to take a group of men to investigate. At first, Antonius was against this, trying to tell the chief Vestal Rubria to try and persuade Nero to not send him. But she tells Antonius that she's already tried. Nero wanted him to go specifically. However, what Antonius didn't know is that it was her who told Nero that Antonius must go. She has told him that she has great plans for him. Over 4 months of walking pass with Antonius leading the men to Britannia. And what they find is Orcus, a massive beast. Antonius knew why he was sent here. Traveled all of these miles. He came to meet his past. Welcome to Britannia. If you are interested in this series, it's brought to you by Valiant Comics, and they just came out with this one as of the week of writing the script. So we don't have issue 2 yet, but I will link the page to it on Comixology down below so you can stay with it if you are interested in this interesting Roman detective. With that story complete, we now bring you to San Francisco in the current day to tell you a story about a former Teen Titan known as Raven. The Teen Titans that she ran with for so long have moved on to different projects, and Raven has decided to focus on her past if she's going to understand where her future is going. Her mother never told her of her sister that lived in San Francisco, so Raven thought it would be a good idea to seek out this side of her family that she didn't know existed. When she arrived at her aunt's house, it wasn't quite what she was expecting. Her aunt Alice had a very Christian family and welcomed Raven in with open arms. Questions like why did she wear black came up, and she explained that it's because it goes with everything. And then Raven noticed that there are pillows everywhere. Far too many pillows. She decided to try this out and take a seat at the dinner table, but when the family gave grace, she began to wonder if she had made a mistake. That night as she went to bed underneath a crucifix, she dreamt of her life before this. Her battles against her brothers on the hellscape. And when she woke up screaming, her entire family was waiting for her to ensure that she was okay. The next day she went to high school of all places. The random crap spilling out of these students' mouths was really distracting to Raven, but she pushed through it, till something weird happened. Something that made her sick and then vomit. The popular girls laughed at her, so she made them see their worst nightmare, being pregnant. She continued to try and fit in and be normal, even becoming friendly with a few individuals, but eventually that sickness, that pain came back, dropping her to the ground. At this time, she looked up and saw another student, and she saw the person messing with her. But before she could do anything, one of her friends magically went blind. Knowing that this was meant to be a distraction, Raven had no choice but to use her powers to take that magic away and allow him to see again. She then followed the magical signals outside and found the girl who did it, thinking that her father Trigon had sent someone after her. But as she grabbed the girl's hand, she was thrown aside. Whatever magic was used, Raven knew that it wasn't Trigon, because there is something else at this school, and whatever it was reaching into her soul. Later that night at the carnival, the mysterious girl was walking around with her friends until she broke off and went into a nearby room. It is there that she walked into a glowing white orb, and inside she began to shed tears as what appeared to be her face began to melt away as she slammed her mallet down on a strength training machine and screamed out to please make it stop as someone else was stuck on the Ferris wheel. Elsewhere, Raven called out in pain, asking for them to make it stop as her soul was torn out of her body. And that is the conclusion to Raven issue 1. So I hope you guys enjoyed seeing 3 different stories and stuff that you may be interested in. Let me know in the comments down below which of these 3 you thought was the best one, and let me know if you went ahead and read more of these issues and if you found them very interesting. Don't forget to follow me on Twitter at Comicstorian, where we can talk about these issues a lot faster, and you can follow me on Instagram, where I post a lot of comic book related pictures. Hope you guys enjoy.